Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode here at Kirsten Baxter Coaching. A couple of weeks ago, I did a video sharing how to get more vulnerable on social media. This video went through and shared step-by-step guidance for how to take your own story and your own heart and your personal perspective on things and connect with your ideal client through getting more vulnerable. I wanted to take more time today, a part 2, if you will, to work through showing you how that's done. I have prepared a post that can go one of two ways. I will show you how I made it really small and quick, and how maybe that has its place, but if I really want to connect with my audience, I'll also show you how to add a little more depth to it, a little more heart to it, and getting to the other side so that it really connects to the heart of my ideal clients. And hopefully watching this will help you get ideas for how to do it with your own stories. You might even have your own story next to you and work on it while you're watching me work through mine. So let's get started.
I'm going to take this particular rough draft, show that it's great for one reason and why we would want to change it for a different reason, and then walk you through the 5 steps of what I taught you in the Getting Vulnerable post number 1. So let me read it aloud first so we can all hear it together. If someone has asked me a question, which this actually is a question somebody has asked me, I've been trying to build my own business, but I'm feeling like it's already been done by so many other people. How do I make my measly little business work too? So my response would be, I completely understand how one might feel like that. We have all gone through it, but trust me, it's going to be okay. We all have times when we question ourselves because we've never done it before, so it takes a lot of faith and a lot of growth. Just the other day, I was struggling with my own thoughts. I learned that we have to trust that this stage is just going to be hard, but when we allow ourselves to move forward anyway, we will find our own secret sauce, we will connect to what makes us unique, and we will make a successful business that comes from our own heart. So that's not a bad post, right? Especially if it's on social media. There are times when people would relate better to the quicker caption rather than a really long one. And so this particular response has its own play. But let's say we're consistently using this type of post all the time and we aren't getting vulnerable, then it kind of basically sounds like we just have a lot of good thought, but then our ideal client wouldn't have any answers, any connection point to know that you really know how to get through it. When they can see that you understand where their pain is and they understand where that struggle is and you understand how to get through it, their minds open up in a different way where they want to get to know what your answers are and they want to see if you possibly have the answer they're looking for. That's our task today, is to change this into a post that can help them see that we understand the struggle of feeling like we don't really have a quality business offer, but then moving to the point where we do. So the first thing I want to do is not have a question answer format. I'm going to actually create a little space so I can come up here. Before we really get into things, there is a general format that people understand to use when it comes to posting. The first sentence really hooks someone in and gets them like, okay, I'm curious, I want to see what you're going to talk about. And then you have the connection piece, beef at the story, and then at the end there's what we call a call to action. So at the beginning of this, we want to have a way to really hook someone in, to help them see like this is worth your attention a little bit farther. So instead of just question, why don't we say, have you ever felt like this? Have you ever thought something like, and then you can even go like this and take that out. And since I am a business coach as well as a mindset type of coach, I seek to give assurance that where people are at is okay, as well as where they would like to go is a great pursuit as well. So what I would seek to do right now is to try and help them know, okay, this isn't a bad question to ask, just to put their mind at ease right at the beginning. By the way, this particular video is set up in a way where you can work with me. I'm going to have a lot of conversation like I'm doing right now in between the typing time, and I encourage you to work on typing in your own thing too. If I end up moving forward past where you're ready to go with yours, you can pause the video at any time and work on your own post and like play, pause, like that. Okay? All right, so how do I make my measly little business work too? I hope you know that, no, I don't want to say it that way because that might assume that if they don't know, it's not okay. Let me ease your mind for a second. This question comes up all the time by new business owners. Plus, even seasoned business owners have doubting questions a time or two, occasionally. Okay, so just kind of reassuring them, like, this question totally makes sense. I think that part's okay. But I want to add in a little bit here because the first step on my Getting Vulnerable video number 1 says, where are they at right now? So I want to talk about their issues a little bit more. We all have times when we question ourselves because we've never done it before, so it takes a lot of faith and a lot of growth. Instead of that part, I want to get a little more descriptive about what it feels like to have imposter syndrome right here. So I'm going to say it is, actually, let me do this. I want to do this before. It can be challenging when we look at ourselves and think, I am not as good at words as so and so. Or I don't really know enough people to make a big difference. Or even, what do I really have to share with people that hasn't already been done? I get it completely. Both when I was trying to work my network marketing business, as well as trying to start a coaching practice, I recognized that so many other people were already out there doing something very similar. I would look at people and see their strengths and compare them to my weaknesses, making me feel very insignificant and small. Okay, pause for a second just to explain why I wrote those things. Sometimes when we're writing a post, we think, well, they're not wanting to hear my feelings, right? Like, comparing to my weaknesses and making me feel small, like, how does that benefit them, right? Actually, most likely, a few of them have thought that very same thing. And so if you can share those insecure thoughts of your own, then it will help them to know, I had those very thoughts too. She knows. She gets it. Does that make sense? And instead of just saying, I get it, I have imposter syndrome at times, and then leave it at that, like what I wrote down below, I was struggling with my own thoughts, and then just move on from there. That's the only connection piece I had in the previous post. I was struggling with my own thoughts. And that doesn't really explain much, right? But if I say, okay, I both tried to work a network marketing business, and I had a point when I was starting my coaching practice when things were really hard for me, and I still struggle with my belief in my value. And so saying, I recognized that so many other people had done things similar and that they had such amazing strengths, and I was just over here, this tiny little person. It helps. It helps to know that other people think that way too. Especially, some people might look at me now and say, oh, she's got it all together because she has a successful business. So if I were to say, even if you think that's true, look at how I'm still a real person and I'm still really struggling at times too. And I have those same thoughts, but I also know how to get through them. I'm going to share this there, but trust me, It's Going to Be Okay can come up next. I don't need this one anymore. The next step is getting descriptive about my story. So I started a little bit in talking about it, and I'll share here a little bit more. As I started leaning into my desire to serve people through coaching, I really had to be willing to look at my strengths, passions, and desires and value them. I had to say, I can't do punctuation. Kirsten, you really do have a way of understanding others and helping them feel loved and seen. Giving myself a compliment like that was just the beginning, but it sure helped open my mind to a lot more possible encouraging thoughts. Okay, so that kind of shares a little bit more about my process to get to know how to value my piece, how to appreciate where I'm at. And I, like, when it came to the details, if I look at, okay, so someone in this position would be thinking in their mind, I want to be a coach, but like so-and-so is really good at explaining the brain. And so-and-so is really good at connecting with people. So what makes me different? What makes me have value for other people to find me instead of them? And it's like, first we have to show that we value our own strengths and passions. We can work next on understanding that not everybody is for everybody. Like, these other people that we think have amazing ways of speaking or connecting with people, they're not for everybody. Some people are seeking for our help. Then I can get to that another point. But for now, I'm trying to connect with someone to say, oh wait, I understand that I have value. I have my own uniqueness that is important for me. So I worked right here on getting to know, or getting to be a little more descriptive. And I can say here is a little extra personal. You really do have a way of understanding others and helping them feel loved and seen. So not everybody's going to relate to that, right? But at the same time, I know that other people want to see the good in them. They just don't know how to find it. So if I can talk them through how I did it and say, I had to be willing to look at my own strengths, passions, and desires and value them, and then give the example of what I personally did, then they can fill in the blank with their name and what they can say to themselves easily. That works for them. So giving a little bit of detail that everyone can relate to here, and then giving my own personal connection here, makes it more authentic to me. And then rerouting to the beginning again by saying, giving myself a compliment like that isn't going to solve it right away. It's just the beginning. But it sure helped open my mind to a lot more possible encouraging thoughts. So it just kind of opened the doors for me to see my value and trust that I had that value. So then at this stage, we can finish up here. If you're doing like a social media post, it would probably be a good idea to stop around here and ask a question like, have you taken the time to look at your own strengths, passions, and desires? Have you found things that you uniquely do that you can value? And then at the end, I would give a tip to take away. So I'm going to take all of that out. And then my tip is, when you take the time to see your own value, then you can recognize that you don't need to be the solution for everyone, but the people who are praying for you. Does that help? I hope that's a good conclusion. So, if you were to take this and go a little bit longer and put it in an email, if you want to put it longer, you can add a little bit more here after the encouraging thoughts and share a little bit more about your story in a way that shows how to answer their questions. But if you want to keep it in a shorter spot like this, I mean, it's a page, so it's not super short, but do you know what I mean? Like, just keep it in this way where you can come in, connect to them, share some tips and encouraging words, and then get out. Like that, this is kind of the format to follow. Again, you can pause this video at any time, go back and watch it again, and see how I used the question that I was solving to guide my words throughout this post and create a hook at the beginning, create a connecting piece in the middle, and then create a call to action at the end, which was like a question as well as an action point where they have to go and find their own value and recognize that they have the solution that somebody is praying for. That's what the main structure of any story you want to write has to do with. So hopefully this is helpful, and you can use this again and again, however many times you need, to create your own vulnerable post and make it to where you can show people that your heart understands and your heart cares and your heart has the answers. Okay? Have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you next week.